All right, hello and welcome back to the Spotter Stand, Bristol edition. We raced at Bristol all week last week, except for the dirt and the SS series. Once again in the booth, BSR Hot Rod and BSR Pockets. We've also got Eli 114 joining us this week. How you guys doing?
Good. What's up, everybody?
You forgot to broadcast.
Hello.
Oh, Trisha
I'm
is
doing
in
great because
here.
I got one win.
I haven't heard Rugrat the whole time. I thought she might have been away or busy with something else. I apologize. I didn't mean to forget you there. Well, it's been a great week of racing last week. Bristol, tough track.
For who?
Well, I can name a couple of guys that it was pretty good for. Few guys. Eli, one of them, at least in one of the series. Eli had a good week this week. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into the racing action. As we all know, the trucks were off this week, and we did race the Drunken Cow Jerky Late Model Dirt Series on Wednesday night. And you know what? I forgot to load the new logo. I went and downloaded the new logo that Scar made, and I forgot to put it in here. So we'll have that in here next week. I believe we'll still be in the dirt, and we'll get that up for you guys next week. I'm sure you've all seen it on Facebook. This week in the Dirt Series on Wednesday night, we ran at the Devil's Bowl, and that's my hometown right here in Mesquite, Texas. Track right around the corner from me. And this week at the Devil's Bowl, it was Eli 114 who took the victory in the newly remodeled Drunken Cow Jerky Wednesday Night Dirt Track Championship Series. Great job there, Eli. Good job on the win. You've always been a great dirt track racer. You're always up there battling for the lead. We all know this series is kind of tough, and it's easy to get involved in an incident and go straight from the front to the back. But you pulled it off this week. Congratulations on your win, man.
It was a lot of fun, but you always got to worry about hot rod around the corner no matter which way you run. But as long as it's got dirt, then better. If it's got asphalt, I might as well park it.
I don't know. I think you've been putting in a pretty good effort. Definitely getting better at the asphalt. And I bet if you stick with it by the end of this 2019 season, you'll be right there with just about everybody else on that asphalt.
Yeah, I'm getting better. It's just practicing, getting the right setup that I can drive.
Let's move over and take a look here at the race results. Congrats on your win again there, Eli.
Good job, Eli.
Let's take a look at the race results from Wednesday night.
Eli in first, Steve Looney in second, Hot Rod in third, Monty Keller in fourth, and rounding out the top five is Barry.
Yeah, and it looks like Eli on top of the win led the most laps, 67 laps, dominated that race. Monty Keller also led 15 there, and Brain Fade led 14. You know what's a surprise for me to see here? The Foot Doctor, Larry Yeager. Larry Yeager Jr. Finished in third place, but didn't lead any laps in that race. Is that correct, Larry?
Yes. I had lots of trouble coming up through the field. Stick competition, trouble here, trouble there. It just seemed like I couldn't get away from the accidents. Yep, it was tough. As you know, you ran that race too.
Did you throw your helmet at anybody?
No, absolutely not. Not in the dirt, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Now, another thing I would like to point out here, that L. Yeager you see in the 065, that is
Larry Jr.
That is Trisha. That's BSR Rugrat. And look where she finished. 9th place, ahead of BSR Pockets and ahead of Nelly. Great job, Trisha.
Trisha Yeager Jr.
Yes, Nelly had trouble though.
Yeah, it says Nelly lost a clutch there, and he was out of the race early, but Pockets finished that race running.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I quit because I run over you.
It shows you. Oh, did you? It shows you made 100 laps. So, I don't think
didn't you get your first heat win in that race?
You got beat by Trisha
It
Yeager.
doesn't show me a lap. It doesn't show me a lap down.
No, it shows you made 100 laps.
How'd
Things
that
happen.
happen? Oh, that's right. I seen Tricia back out there, and I thought, well, damn, she's gonna beat me if I don't go back around, and she did beat me. She did. There ain't no shame in that game. Girl was racing.
That's right.
Girl power.
Well, who got their first win? Wasn't it you, Texas? Heat race.
I did get my first heat race win in one of the heat races this past Saturday night at the Devil's Bowl, and
Pretty much led the whole thing.
yeah, it gave me a bonus point, and yeah, I'm proud of that. I haven't had many wins in this dirt series. I don't know if I've won a regular race at all, maybe one. And that was my first heat race win out of all the heat races from all the dirt series. I think that was my very first heat race win. So I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, the reason why I think I'm better at dirt because you can overdrive a dirt car a little bit more and get away with it than an asphalt car. If you overdrive it, you're gonna have bad effects.
Let's take a look at the points in this series. What are we? 3 races in now, Larry?
Yes, only 3 this as of right now. This will be race 4 this week at Fonda this week, guys.
Fonda coming up. Well, despite not leading the lap this past week, BSR Hot Rod still holds down the lead by 1 point over Eli 114. Eli with the victory did move up a spot to take over second place, only down by 1. Steve Looney moved up 2 spots to take over third, down by 6. And you've got Nelly and Brain Fade in there with a tie for fourth place, both down by 10. And myself right behind them, down by 11 points. Rest of the field back a little ways. Looks like everybody's missed a race or two. But the top 6, very close in there. Pockets, where are you at in this? Have you missed a race in this series? Back by 53?
Yes, he did.
Did I?
Yes,
What race did I miss?
the first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a part timer. Or not really, but we got a long ways to go.
Oh,
How many
yeah.
races in this series?
Like, just to throw it out there, Texan, Rugrat is in 7th place. And she's only down by 24 when I did the math. Once I get her points straightened out, that's where she will be.
Oh, because she has made all of the races, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. She
Yeah,
has
so-
made all 3.
She's going to be ahead of Pockets here.
Yes.
And Furco. And probably Barry and Scar as well.
And I don't believe Perko has missed any races. So her and Perko both. Perko has parked in everyone, I think. Or ended up. He may have missed this. No, I think Perko missed last week. I don't think Perko ran last week. I think he was ill.
Well, you currently got the lead by 1 point, and a lot of racing to go. As we know, this is going to run pretty much the whole season long in between the truck series. When the trucks are off, we will be racing this Drunken Cow Jerky Dirt series. So a lot of racing left to go, and Eli right on your heels, only down by 1 point.
Yeah, 10 races, I think, ain't it?
No, it's more than that. It's almost 13. It runs the entire length of the NASCAR Cup season.
Cool.
This will end 3 weeks before the Cup Series is exactly when it ends. It's somewhere in October, I believe. I think it's the third week in October, I think is when it ends.
Well, speaking of the Cup Series, let's move over and take a look at Thursday night. Thursday night, Cup Series did run at Bristol. Tight, tough little track, smallest track on the schedule, half a mile. Brutal racing there. Although we did pretty well. I have to say, I don't know if we had any green flag stops on Thursday night, but we did have some good long runs, 40 laps or so at Bristol. And on Thursday night, it was Rick Craddock in that number 22 Indian motorcycle machine that brought home the victory at Bristol. Congratulations, Rick. Great job, great racing. I know Rick and I were racing each other pretty good for quite a few laps in that race. Rick had a good car and well-deserved win. That's That's going to be 3 wins for Rick in this Cup Series. We were just talking last week, I think, about how we don't have a lot of repeat winners. We've got a lot of fresh winners each week, but Rick Craddock, first one to pull off 3 in any series. So great job, Rick. Rick doing a good job in the Cup Series this season, pulling out his 3rd victory already in this Cup Series.
Pretty impressive. He's on a roll right here, and something that we haven't had to deal with for several years is that Rick Craddock always goes on vacation during the chase, but he was in here the other day getting some things lined out to where he is going to be able to take a laptop with him on vacation, and he will be racing in the chase. Most likely, maybe. I think he always leaves around Talladega week, so he'll be excited that it's Talladega anyway. If that's the one it winds up being.
Yeah, I heard that, and I kind of counted on him being out of there for a week every week. If I remember correctly, he was right on my heels, even though he missed because we do allow 1 provisional in the chase, only 1, and I believe he was right on my heels up to the last race, even though he did miss a race. So, man, this season, if he's able to make all 10 of those races, better watch out for Rick Craddock in the chase.
If our memory serves me correct, he was mathematically still in it in the last race. He just didn't have the fortune to have bad luck in the last race, which is what he kind of needed.
Yeah, I think he was only down by 7 or 8 points going into the last race.
It was 11, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, wasn't too much.
Let's go over and take a look at the race results from Thursday night's Cup race.
I'm still sore.
Good win, Rick Craddock. 2nd, Terry Scott. 3rd, Nelly. Barry in 4th, and Mayhem rounding out the top 5.
And
Barry.
look there who led the most laps in that race.
That's right. Most laps.
111 laps out of 200. I led over half of that race, and I had some trouble there.
Hey, you know what? I know why you had trouble there. That's called the shit house in bowling. That's bad luck.
It's Bristol.
That's what happened to you.
Yeah, it's Bristol, man. That's tough. Like I said, it's a tough racetrack. You gotta not only be on top of your game, but sometimes you need a little luck on your side too. And I just didn't have any with me this past Thursday night. I did get a bonus point though for leading the most laps. I got an extra bonus point. As you can see, Rick Craddock also very fast car, led 78 laps in that race. Only a handful of other drivers managed to lead some laps, it looks like, there in the race. But you can see at the bottom, we've got 4 drivers ended up retiring, and 13 out of 17 able to finish the race. It looks like only 8 drivers on the lead lap. Several drivers ended up a lap down finishing that race. But tough track, Bristol. We do have to run this one more time this season before it's over. So we will continue or make another trip back to Bristol before this season is over. And speaking of Bristol, and this was another 5150 challenge race sponsored by our own BSR Mayhem and Sweetwater. Let's move over here. I've got these 5150 challenge points loaded up.
Oh yeah, this is great. So that means I finished crappy in 2 series.
Yep. We got to look at the standings in the Cup Series before we go over to the standings in the 5150 series.
We have to.
Yeah, we really should. Rick Craddock, with his 3rd victory this season, still stands at the top of the board. Well, I say still. It looks like he moved up a position to take over the lead from Nelly, who dropped a position down to 2nd, down by 3 points. BSR Terry Scott, great race for him, moved up 3 positions to tie myself, who also moved up a position. Both of us tied for 3rd place, down by 9. And you got Monty Keller, dropped 2 spots in that race, but still sitting in the top 5, only down by 14. SS right there behind him. It's good to see SS back in here, racing pretty much every race up here at the top of the standings. SS only down by 17, Brain Fade by 18, Pockets There You Are in 8th, down by 22. So still some pretty close racing here. We are a little over halfway through this first segment in this Cup Series. So Rick Craddock not with a comfortable lead there by any means over Nelly. And, myself and Terry Scott not too far behind, only down by 9. So it's going to be some good racing. We're coming up on Richmond next week, I believe.
Next week or this week?
Yes.
This week. I'm sorry. I'm still used to the Sunday spotter stand. I guess even if it were Sunday, it would still be this week because Sunday's the beginning of the week. But yeah, this week, Thursday night, we will be at Richmond.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. Another short track. 2 short tracks in a row. I don't think I can handle it.
Fondo on Wednesday, Richmond on Thursday and Friday.
But the thing about the dirt track, that is a small NASCAR track, but it's a big dirt track.
Yeah, Fonda, a big, pretty good sized track. Not as long as the Springfield Mile, but still a lot of fun. Tomorrow night's going to be a great race. So I hope we get a good turnout tomorrow night for the dirt. Let's go over now and take a look at the 5150 Challenge, the Sweetwater 5150 Challenge, sponsored by BSR Mayhem. Bristol, one of the tracks that we visit twice. So your points won't count for both races. What happens in these tracks we go to twice in this challenge is your points from your best finish, or basically your best points from that race, whichever race you got the best points in, is going to count towards your standings in this 5150 challenge. So Bristol being one of the tracks that we visit twice, if you didn't have such a good race this past week at Bristol, you've got a chance to better that and better your point standings in this 5150 challenge when we return to Bristol later in the season. Currently,
well, that's good to know.
Yeah, that is.
I forgot about that, so now I don't feel quite so bad. I'm hoping maybe that was my throwaway.
I know it was mine. I can't get no worse than I finished.
Now, what do I got up here? That's the wrong thing. I know I threw these. Sweetwater. That's the. There we go. Now I got the Sweetwater 5150 challenge stuff up there. I still had the race results from the Cup Series up, standing over the top of it. Rick Craddock at the top of the board in the 5150 challenge with BSR Barry dropping a spot to second, only down by 5. Terry Scott moving up a couple spots, third, down by 8. BSR SS Joba dropping a spot to 4th, down by 16. And Steve Looney moved up a spot to take over 5th and round out the top 5, down by 17. So Rick Craddock with the 3 wins has also done well so far in all of these 5150 challenge races. So he's not only at the top of the Cup standings, he's also at the top of this 5150 challenge standings. So we've got several races to go in this series. It carries us through most of the Cup season, even into the chase, before we finish up this 5150 challenge. And 3 of the 5 tracks we do visit twice. So you will get a chance to better your position in a couple of these races that we've had so far.
Well, I'm going to need more than a couple.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm way back there in 10th, down by 25. You're in 11th, right behind me.
Yeah, there we are.
Down by 27. So, yeah, being only 5 races that actually count in the points, it's not going to be easy to make up that many points, especially on guys like Rick Craddock and Barry, Terry Scott, SS, Steve Looney. Maybe even Nelly, but I would bet it's going to be one of those guys in the top 5 that's going to take home this 5150 championship.
Very good possibility. Barry sitting there in second. Terry Scott, he's no slouch. SS Joba, you mentioned him earlier. He's on fire. He's racing, doing good. There's Steve Looney. You know about Steve Looney, Nelly, Monty Keller, Mayhem, Wings. Look at Wings. Wings having a great season, 2019. So yeah, there's several races. We'll see what happens here.
Now, what is our next track on the schedule for this challenge? Let me go back and look.
Michigan, baby.
Maybe because we've got what, Atlanta, at Vegas, Michigan, Darlington,
Michigan
and
is
Bristol.
the next. Michigan is the next race.
And when do we run Michigan, Larry?
June 6th. So we don't run the Sweetwater Challenge again until June.
Yeah, so we've got almost 2 months then. This being April 9th, that gives us almost 2 months before we return to a Sweetwater 5150 track at Michigan. Darlington's not in there?
No, Darlington is in there. Darlington is August 28th.
August.
Or
Okay.
29th.
Okay.
We only run Darlington one time.
Yeah, and we only ran Atlanta one time, correct?
That's correct.
Yes,
They're the
so-
two tracks that are singles. Everything else is double. Michigan's double, Bristol's double, and Las Vegas is double.
And we have run 3 races already. So we've run Atlanta, we've run Las Vegas, and we have run Bristol. Yes, yeah, Bristol. Only 2 of the tracks out of the 5 left to go, but we will return to Vegas and we will return to Bristol, giving everyone a chance to better their position and their point standings if they can do a little bit better at those 2 tracks.
Right.
So-
Michigan's are back-to-back Sweetwater races. June 6th is the first one, and then we're off again till August the 8th. August the 8th, we go back to Michigan. That is the second Michigan.
Ooh, and they'll be that Darlington will shake some things up. I can guarantee you that. So.
Oh yeah.
That's the end of August. That's August 29th. And then the last race on the schedule is the Vegas race, which is inside the Chase. So we will wait all the way till September to finish this up.
So when you guys are paying attention to this 5150 stuff, when we start coming up on Michigan, I want to jump back and take a look at the standings, where you're at in this 5150 challenge. I know everybody tries to have the best race they can every week when they show up, but it helps to know who's in front of you, who's behind you, and might make some strategy decisions that might get you a point or two on a driver here or there. So a couple of months from now, we'll return to one of these 5150 tracks at Michigan. Until then, there's a lot of racing in the Cup Series to go. So let's move over and take a look at Friday night. Oh no, I forgot. Bonus points. I moved the bonus points over so we don't have to visit it at the end. I've moved them over to the end of each series. So these are your Cup Series bonus points as they stand now. As you can see over there in the winner race column, Rick Craddock is now up to 3. Only repeat driver in this series so far. Rick Craddock with 3 wins, moving him up to a total of 3 bonus points over there in the totals. BSR Momo still holding that top spot over there in the totals with 4. Momo's been holding that since the very beginning of the season, been holding that top spot. Quite a few drivers in there with 3 now. It's a couple of drivers in there with 2 as well. So a little over halfway through the first segment, Momo is holding that top spot, and I think, would you say it was, Larry, at 4 weeks, we'll be coming up on another bonus point race. I believe that's the All-Star race.
That is correct. There is only 5 races left in this segment.
So we got 5 races left in this segment. The All-Star race will be in there before the end of this segment. So in about 5-6 more weeks, 2 more of these boxes, that All-Star top 5 box in the middle is going to be filled up. Winner's going to get 3 points. Second place, 2 points. Third, fourth, and fifth, all 1 point. And when we finish the segment, that segment 1 top 5 will be filled up as well. The top spot at the end of segment 1 is going to get 2 bonus points. And the next 4 are all going to get 1 bonus point. So coming up on the end of segment 1, just 5 weeks away, 5-6 weeks away. I'm not sure if there's an off week in there somewhere, but A lot of more bonus points to be handed out in the first half of the season, and then we've got 3 more boxes to fill up there in the second half, plus all of the victories bonus points that are going to be given away in the meantime. So this is your Cup bonus points as they stand right now, and we'll update them for you, keep you updated on this every week right here on the Spotter Stand. Now, go ahead, Larry.
And being you did the point or the chase point bonus points, you had that up there. I seen AK Daytona, and that reminded me today would have been AK's birthday.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Glad you brought that up. We were talking about that, and before the show started. And happy birthday, AK. We're remembering you, and we keep you in our memories and in our thoughts and our prayers. And we know you're looking down on us, smiling, and we all enjoyed racing with you. So happy birthday, AK.
Happy birthday, bro.
Well, let's go on and take a look then at Friday night. Friday night, the Xfinity Series also ran at Bristol Motor Speedway. And I think I just closed I sure did. I just closed the race results from Friday night's Bristol race. I'll get those back up for you while we're talking about our victor here. Well, I'm going to let you guys talk about the victor here on this one. Friday night, we had a great race. Did we not have green flag pit stops on Friday night? I believe we did have one. No.
Yes, absolutely. I led 3 laps while everybody pitted in that exchange. So I know for a fact we had a green flag stop on Friday night.
Yeah, Friday was a great race. I think we're only 1 driver short of what showed up for the Cup. We had 17 drivers show up for Bristol in the Cup Series, and 16 showed up for the Xfinity Series. So great job by everybody to pull off some green flag pit stops with 16 drivers on the track at Bristol. And the victor on Friday night was myself, BSR Texan. Only my second victory all season long. Got one in the Truck Series at Martinsville, and now I brought home one in the Xfinity Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. That was a pretty good night for me. I think Mayhem and I at the end of that race, we had a caution with about 20 laps to go. Mayhem was the leader, started on the inside line, and coming off of turn 2, turn 4, one of those, he got a little bit loose, and it allowed me to get on around him and take over the lead from the outside line. And I managed to hold everybody off for the rest of that race to pull off the victory. Mayhem, man, with a great car on Friday night. It was a hell of a race. A lot of good drivers, a lot of good racing. And man, I'm glad to be able to pull off a victory in this series.
Good job. Congratulations. Great job, Bristol. That's a great place to win one, man. You did everything you needed to do there.
Yes, Mayhem had a dominant car there the whole race. I don't know what happened to him there at the end. He got a little loose, but yes, he had a dominant car there. He led the most laps. He was dialed in out there.
Give me 1 second here, and I am getting these race results back up for you guys. I accidentally closed those.
So, what do we got that's going on new, Pops? Anything new?
You tell me.
I thought maybe you went to get coffee or something.
No, I'm just chilling like a villain. I did terrible at Bristol.
I know, but when we get to dead air, you normally bring up things to talk about to help fill in. So that's why I thought maybe you went to get coffee.
No, I'm here. Like I said, I'm just chilling. Where'd Texan go?
What do you say? You're still not awake? Is that what you're getting at?
Pretty much. That's pretty much what
That's what I thought. I don't know. He must be having trouble getting them back in.
Well, we'll wait and
I
see
have
what
got
he
the
can
race
do
results
here.
up for you guys
There he
right now. They
goes.
are up there.
I knew it wouldn't take him long.
Are we good to go over the top 5 now?
Absolutely.
Great Win Texan. In second is Steve Looney. Third is Barry Monty Keller. In fourth and rounding out the top 5 is Brain Fade.
Look at the foot doctor bringing in 6 there, kind of salvaging the weekend at Bristol. Good job, Larry.
I had a good car on Thursday also due to an incident trying to avoid an accident. I got stuck on pit road and we were green, and going 5 laps down, that just wasn't going to cut it. So I said, screw it, and quit. Being I'm not really in a contention to make the top 5, really not racing for anything other than to learn. So there wasn't no sense of staying out there banging my head against the wall.
My 38 team brought home 11th place. Could have been much worse. Could have been a whole lot better. But congratulations, Texan. You were put it on them.
Thank you very much. And you can see from looking at these results that Mayhem absolutely had a great car. He led 120 laps out of 200 laps, so well over half of the race. Like I said, he had a great car. Man, he's been running strong all season in all of these series. I believe he's already got 2 victories in this Xfinity series. He would probably be doing a little better in the points, but I think he missed 1 race in this series this season. So with the 2 victories, if he hadn't missed that race, he'd probably be in the lead right now. Let's go over and take a look at the points and see who is currently leading this series. It is Steve Looney at the top spot. 9 points over myself. I moved up 2 places to take over second place with that victory, down by 9. BSR Pockets dropped a spot down to third, down by 13. Brain Fade moved up a spot to take over fourth, down by 16. And BSR SS Joba dropped 2 places to round out the top 5, down by 17. So Steve Looney, man, great job in this Xfinity series, leading the way by 9 points as we're a little over halfway through the first segment in this series as well.
He's doing a great job.
Yes, Mayhem did not run Daytona with us on Friday night.
And so he missed the very first race of the season. Yeah. You can see he is down there with, where is Mayhem in the points? Down there in 17th, tied with Furco, down by 116 points. You sure he only missed 1? Because 116, that seems like 2 races.
He may have missed 2. I only checked the first race, seen he missed it and stopped. I didn't keep checking.
Yeah, he's had to have missed more than 1. But I know he has pulled off, I believe, 2 victories. We'll see here in just a second as we take a look at the bonus points in this Xfinity series. Yes, Mayhem with 2 victories, 2 bonus points in that win a race column. So, he's doing a great job in this series. My name was added to that win a race with 1 bonus point over there. And it looks like, Pockets with a commanding lead. If you look over there in that total bonus points box, Pockets with 6 of them. Cleaned up at the Spring Texas race with adding 2 bonus points to his total. He already had 4. Pockets did win at Daytona in this series, which gave him 3 bonus points. He also pulled off a top 5 in the AK Daytona race, which gave him another bonus point, and then the 2 at Texas gave him 2 more. So Pocket's sitting up there at the top of this with a 2-point lead over the next person, which looks like it's SS Joba. Also doing pretty good in the bonus points here in the Xfinity series with 4. A few drivers in there with 3 and 2. A lot of racing left to go in this series. We've still got a little less than half of segment 1 to go. All-Star race will be counted for this series as well as the Cup Series. So when we come into that All-Star week, we'll be getting bonus points in all 3 series. There will be All-Star bonus points. So a couple more boxes here. We got the All-Star top 5 and the segment 1 top 5. All of that will be handed out before the end of this season.
Oh, that makes me feel a little better.
Segment, excuse me. Makes you feel a little better. Look, you got 6 bonus points so far. You got a really good shot at going into the chase here with a lead in the bonus points. You got. I'll be practicing those last 10 races. You got a good chance to. Well, I don't want to jinx you. I'm not going to say it again. I know I said it last week, but it's the truth. You got a good chance to pull off a championship in this series.
Boy, I tell you, the way that schedule is set up.
And there's some tracks that Pockets really struggles at in the last 10.
There's really only one track that I'm majorly concerned about, and that is Phoenix. But you get down to that point, things are heated up. People are making mistakes. People are gonna, maybe overreach and make a vital mistake. You just hope you get through there and go on to Homestead, Texas.
Well, Phoenix is one of my better tracks. It's one of my favorites. I love that track, and I'll be happy to give you my setup if it's not already in the file browser. I believe it is, but if it's not, I'll be happy to give it to you. And it's Phoenix mostly about turn 1 and 2, 3 and 4. You can kind of figure that out, but I'll be happy to get in there and help you with getting into 1, because that's where it's really at. Most people tend to overdrive turn 1, and that screws up your whole corner if you overdrive that turn 1. So you get in there nice and easy, and you're able to get back in the gas a lot sooner and stay in it all the way off of turn 2 and down the back stretch, which improves your lap time tremendously. And it's all about that consistency, getting down there into turn 1. So turn 3 in this Xfinity series, you really don't even have to use the brakes until you get down to the last 10 laps or so of the fuel run. Your tires are a little bit worn. You can just coast it into turn 3 and have a good turn. So it's all about turn 1, man. If you want a little help with Phoenix, I'll be glad to give it to you.
I appreciate that. A couple of years ago, Terry Scott, former champion or a past champion here, gave me a tip about that turn, and it helped me tremendously. But my brain just can't understand Phoenix. I mean, I try to do everything, all the tips that everybody's given me, and it's helped, but it's still just, that track's just it's just a sore spot for me. But hey, we'll go and do the best we can. And you're right, we may need to practice a little bit for that, because that is going to be in the chase. We'll look over the schedule and see. The good thing about it is some of these tracks we have raced at or we're going to race at. They're 2-time tracks. So that'll give us a little extra seat time at those tracks that are in the last 10. So
Well, I think I know you pretty well, and I know that sitting here with a lead in the bonus points, if you think you've got a legitimate shot at that championship, I think you're gonna do everything you can to maximize how you can run at every track. So, like I said, we get up to Phoenix, you want a little bit of help, I'll be glad to help you out there.
He'll
I'm
crank
probably
them
going to take you
seatbelts
up
tight.
on that.
He'll crank them seatbelts tight, that helmet strap will get a little tighter, and he'll get up on the wheel. You watch and see, especially if he's in the hunt, got a shot. You can tell when Pockets is in the hunt, got a shot. I'll tell you that.
I probably need to be practicing at Phoenix right now.
Hey, it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
At least when we have, because when we have an off week in this Xfinity series, there's nothing there taking its place like Wednesday night with the Dirt Series. So, maybe during an off week, get in there and do some practice on a Friday night at Phoenix.
Well, I tell you what, that's about like scheduling an appointment for the dentist.
I don't think Xfinity has another off week.
Before the chase, we will. Or before Phoenix?
I don't think we do.
Wow.
Because there's not 13.
Surely we do.
There's not 13 races in the second segment of the Xfinity, are there? It's only 12, right?
Yeah, it's only 12. Yeah,
So there has to be an off week in there because the Cup has 13.
Cup's off too.
Oh, okay. So maybe there's 2 off weeks because the Cup does have
Yeah,
13 races.
yeah. Cup has 13 and 13. So
Well, let's move on to Saturday night.
And I can talk about Saturday night, I believe. Here.
Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy this particular segment here.
no,
Saturday
let's
night.
skip over Saturday night. No, I'm just kidding.
Saturday night, we are getting close to wrapping up season number 37 of the Drunken Cow Jerky Team Series, Battle of the Six Flavors and Wolf Bites. Here's a look at your team lineups for season 37. We've only got 1 race to go in season 37. We got 9 races behind us, just 1 race to go. This past Saturday night, we ran at Daytona. It was a great race, a lot of green flag pit stops, and great finish at the end with the victor being BSR Pockets. And at number 38, Beer Bacon Machine brought home the victory for his team at Daytona in race 9 of season 37. Great job, Pockets. I think that's 2 for you. You didn't win the prior week, but you did win at Daytona the week before that. So in 2 races in 3 weeks. Great job, man.
I appreciate it, man. I had some great help from my teammates Randy C and DJ Champ, and they're always in there fighting, digging hard. That was another heck of a race, man. And I tell you what, that 54 at BSR Momo, I gotta give him a little tap of the hat because once again I put the pressure all up on him, and he's playing defense. He can't really, or he's actually playing a little of both. He's trying to play offense while playing defense, and I'm telling you, I sweated him hard on them last couple of laps, and he raced me good. He raced me clean, and I was leaning on him once again, and we survived and managed to pull off that win. I tell you, right there at the end, my teammate was with me, and he ducked low, and it kind of caught me by surprise. And just like any racer, I kind of defended my position against my teammate, and then I realized, oh, he led the most laps. So, and this is what I told him after the race. I said, you know what? If we lose the championship by 1 point, then y'all can blame it on me, and it'll be my fault. But I told him, I said, it's so hard. You're so focused, and your mentality is all about that checkered flag, and a true hard, a real racer. He sees that checkered flag, he'll knock his mama down to get to it. So that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah.
The racer's mentality took over the common sense and strategy part of it there on that last 200 yards racing to that checkered flag there at Daytona. So
not only that. Go ahead, Larry.
Besides, Pockets, if you would have lifted or tried to do anything for DJ to get by, neither of you may have won. And
that's exactly what I was about to say. Is that if you had have tried to strategy, wise, let DJ get by for that win, it would have completely changed the end of that race. And Momo may have won. Somebody else may have won that race. So what you can think of is at least you guys took that bonus point away from another team. Your team may not have got it, but you took it away from another team. Nobody else was able to get that bonus point either. So,
yes, that's exactly what I said. I said at least we did that, and like I said, you get down to that last lap coming out of turn 4. I mean, it's and Larry brought up a good point. I did mention that also. You make the wrong choice there, trying to gain 1 point. It may not be worth that 1 point. And I always tell everybody, you're still trying to get the best finish that you personally can for your team. And that is exactly what I did. So, like I said, if we lose that championship by 1 point, then, that's highly unlikely. But I will tell you this, and if we don't do what we need to do next Saturday night. At least we hope that we can close the gap and it's not as much of a butt kicking as Carolina Reaper. Those guys have had a great season. So, it all comes down to Saturday night. We're going to see. It's doable. A lot of things have to go our way. A lot of things have to go against them, but those options are on the table. I mean, anything can happen at one of these races. So
How many
we'll see what
races
happens.
has the Beer Bacon team won this season? Just the 2, or have you guys
DJ
won
won
3?
one. I'm
So-
almost positive.
They got 3.
So they've
We
got
got
3,
Rockets won 2, DJ won 1. That's 3.
and the Reaper team has 4 currently. So I was going to say, the only way you guys could lose it by 1 point would be if you actually tied, because then it comes down to the team with the
The
most
most
wins,
wins.
which currently would be Reaper. But if you guys were to win next week as well, and then you tie, well, then you've got both teams tied and having the same amount of wins. So that 1 point, would make a big difference if it comes down to a tie like that, where you don't have to go to second place finishes or whichever the case may be. But let's go over here right quick, and we will take a look at how this race turned out. Beer Bacon obviously did take the win, as you can see with the laps led there. No other team did get the bonus point for leading the most laps. Pockets did lead 10, more than any other drivers of any other team that took the top spot for their team. Ghost with the next best finishing position, bringing home 42 points for their team. Reaper still did not have a bad race, brought home 41 points for their team, which means that Beer Bacon did gain 6 points on that Reaper team. The Ghost team only gained 1 point on the Reaper team. All the other teams back there lost points to that leading team, the Reaper team, so that point spread just got even bigger. Let's go take a look at the points here with just 1 race to go in this series. Reaper team now down to only a 10-point lead over the Beer Bacon team. Definitely doable. That Reaper team's been strong all season long. They pulled off, a top 5, I think, in almost every race that they haven't won. They've won 4 out of 9, so they've won almost half of them. But the ones they didn't win, I think they've been in the top 5 in almost all of them, but maybe 1 or so. So
I was just thinking that have they not finished top? Have they finished outside the top 5?
I think they have once. They may
What,
pulled
when
off
they
a
finished
6th or 7th. Yeah. So, for that 10 points, if you guys took the win, and I think Momo finished what, 3rd, 4th place this week. So, and you gained 6 points on them. So they're going to have to finish back somewhere like 7th. Or worse, and you guys are going to have to take the victory and possibly lead the most laps to be able to pull this off. 10 points is not going to be easy with that Reaper team having the kind of season they've been having, and I pretty much guarantee you all 3 of their drivers are going to show up for this final race, and SS, Momo, and Poor Boy all going to be up on the wheel working together like a team like they've been doing all season. So you and DJ and who's your 4th teammate? Is it
Randy T.
Yep, you and
My buddy
DJ and Randy. You guys are going to have to be working together, doing everything you can to this week try to lead the most laps. And if you can get that driver to finish first, then that's all the better for you. But if not, like I said, at least you take that bonus point away from any other team, especially that Reaper team. 10 points is doable. 1 race to go. We'll see what happens this Saturday at Talladega.
And it is going to be intense because everybody here's going to be everybody's thoughts going in. Reaper defense, but they're very good at offense, but they're going to have to try to balance the two. Everybody else wants to beat Reaper, even if it's and plus everybody wants to win one, even if it doesn't matter. They still want to put their team car in victory lane, and then you got the battle between Beer Bacon and Reaper, and it's going to be intense. And I tell you, go to Talladega with that kind of pressure, anything can happen. And finishing worse than 7th, you be lucky if I mean, because it can go wrong in a split second and can leave all your hopes and dreams right there in one of those high bank turns at Talladega. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
or in the pits. We have seen that Reaper team have some trouble in the pits. SS and Poor Boy both having trouble in the pits at one of these races, and ended up, having to go back through, going a lap down. They got lucky in that race and caught a caution later on in the race. Were able to get back up on the lead lap and still have a good finish for their team, but as we know, a lot of times these races go green flag all the way, barring somebody blowing up. So, a little bit of trouble in the pits for, at least two of these drivers. It makes it real difficult for that third driver come down to the end of the race, even if he's on the lead draft, to
And,
do anything with all these other teams.
and the last race of the season is generally the one that goes green every time.
And I'll tell you, man, that series on Saturday night, Texan hit it right squarely on the head. You have to change your strategy to the way you normally think when you roll in there on Saturday night, because there are going to be some green flag pit stops, and I have found myself, over the seasons, to where you get in this mentality, you make a mistake, it's okay, shake it off, we'll get caught back up, there'll be a caution. You miss a pit stop on Saturday night, you can't say that anymore, because the only thing you can say is you hope and pray for a caution, because more times than not, the caution is not going to save you. They're going to run that thing out green, and you make a mistake, you're going to be out of it right there. Just one mistake on pit road, and so pitting is paramount. I mean, it's you have to. Got to be careful, because you're always trying to get all you can there, but you get just a little bit too much and it'll turn around and bite you. So that's going to be it's going to be just another one of them factors that's going to make a Saturday night extra exciting there. And the battle of the six flavors and the wolf bites, thanks to our great sponsor, Drunken Cow Jerky, for all they do for our league, and that's our series, and that worked out beautifully, the way we can divide the teams up into the flavors of Drunken Cow Jerky. So whoever thought of that was really had their thinking cap on. So
I wonder who that could be.
I don't know. We got all kinds of great suggestions.
I do know one thing, Pockets.
What's that?
I have my own game plan for next Saturday.
Where you going?
Sticking my fuel mileage gear in. I'm pitting by my goddamn self, because I can man, when I pit by myself, I just burn good pit stops every time. So
Yep,
that's my game plan.
It's tough to get in the pits. That's why I try to go in on that first stop one lap before I have to, because everybody wants to try to play the fuel strategy, take as little fuel as you need on that last pit stop, and the minimal amount of cars that you have to go in with, the better in my book, because going into pits with 10, 12, 14 cars, that just increases your chance of either getting run over by somebody by accident, or having to slow down behind somebody a lot more than you would like to, and losing that lead draft. So that's why I don't like to hang back in that series and just kind of run at the back and wait for the pit stops, because when you got to go in behind 10 or 12 cars, I mean, you're not going to dodge and weave your way through 8 or 10 cars going into the pits if they're all slow. So you've got to slow down for those cars in front of you. And 9 times out of 10, when you're toward the back of that group, you're going to lose that lead draft. You're just not going to be able to get through the pits quick enough to hang on to the lead draft. So, I like to be at the front, go in front. I'd rather take my chances with somebody running into the back of me. And know that I have an opportunity to get in and out quick and have a good pit stop, because it is tough on Saturday night. Usually, like Pucks was saying with the cautions earlier, that's about the only time you're going to get a caution on a Saturday night race, is if people have trouble in the pits, running over each other and swing back out onto the track, or if you get a blown motor, which does happen.
Late in the race with the tape, yeah,
Yep.
they'll. They'll
And
get a little greedy.
that's about the only chance for a caution on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Even though those races are as long as they are, they run green pretty much the whole way through. So, yeah, pit strategy a big part in the Saturday night racing.
And so you said that you take your chances with somebody running over you from behind. How many times has that happened?
Lately, it
I
hasn't happened. I
I-
think at the beginning of it was a couple seasons ago, but it happened at almost every race. I think for
couple
two,
seasons in a row.
3 weeks in a row at least. It seemed like it happened, but it hasn't happened to me in a while. So normally everybody is great at their pit stops on Saturday night, and every once in a while accidents happen. People just don't slow down enough, or trying to get in a little hot, or maybe I slow down a little too soon, a little more than somebody's expecting. Yeah, it happens. So that, like I said, the chance of getting run over by another driver is far less than the chance of having to be slow if you're at the back of that pack. Because if you're at the back of that 10-car pack, 12-car pack going into the pits, it's a good 90% chance you're going to fall off the lead draft, because you're going to be slower getting in the pits, and you're not going to get out with those first cars. So the chance of getting run over being up there at the front is far less than the chance of being slow at the back.
Well, I can tell you this. This is the way I look at it. I'd rather safely be able to make it slow behind those slow cars and resume racing back up on the track with 5 or 6 of those slow cars, while 1 or 2 of you had an outstanding pit stop and put yourself 20 car lengths ahead of that 5 or 6 guys who had that slow stop, because you know what's fixing to happen then, don't you? There is a such thing as having a too good of a pit stop.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the guy can't pick you up, you're out there by you put yourself out there too far, then the help that you could have is gonna have so much momentum by the time they get you. You've seen it time and time again. Somebody just nails a fantastic pit stop, and I've been in that situation. We've all been in that situation. You get back up on the track and nobody's there, and there's 15 cars somewhere behind you. You know what's fixing to happen pretty quick.
Yeah. Usually it that first pit stop will divide the pack up into 2 to 3 groups, and you almost always have at least 1 car, maybe 2, that get out well ahead of everybody else. But that second pack and that third pack, and if that third pack, that's the ones that are usually at the very back of the pack going into the pits. And they don't necessarily always have a chance to catch up, because by the time that second pack of 3, 4 cars catches up to those guys who had the phenomenal pit, well, now there's enough cars that they're in a big draft, and that third pack, the guys that were back at the back of that group going into the pits, they're just too far behind. They're not going to get the draft, and as that lead pack starts to catch lap down cars, that only increases their numbers more and makes them even faster. So that's why I say, your chances are better if you're at the front, because if you get hit and you slide out in the grass or whatever, your result is basically going to be close to the same. You may be a little farther back and by yourself versus in a small pack of cars that are still not on the lead draft. But either way, you're not going to be on the lead draft. So like I said, I'd just rather be up there at the front, take my chances getting run over by somebody else.
Well, since we talked about all that and getting run over and stuff, you better reach over and knock on some wood. So hopefully we aren't foreshadowing what's going to happen Saturday.
That
beep, beep, here comes Eli.
Rugrat told me to tell you, Texan, make sure you knock on wood, because you don't want it to happen. So
I don't know if you heard that, but here's the second time.
I heard it.
This particle board count, it's still wood, right?
Was that my forehead?
Wood enough.
But I the last couple of weeks I've been lucky enough to have a couple stops where I could stretch fuel mileage and pit it by myself, and I get that big lead out by myself ahead of the pack, and I would much rather catch on the back of that pack coming at me than have to try to catch up because I had to get slowed down coming into the pits.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you got to be careful doing that, because sometimes it's that pack will have so much momentum, you may not be able to latch a hold of them unless somebody throws you a rope.
I know that, but generally they're too wide. That's the thing. If they're too wide, you're going to catch on the back. If they're single file, yeah, they're probably going to let you low, and you're just going to be stuck by yourself. So
Yeah, they'll
that,
be too
that
wide because DJ's usually in that pack with 75 tape on it. And he's got to keep it out there in that fresh, clean air,
I
keep that temperature down.
I've been running 75 tape the last 4 weeks straight, and I ain't going to stop no time soon.
Y'all crazy.
I
That's what
got
they say.
to.
I don't like putting 75 on with a full fuel run. I like to have about 12, 13 laps because that thing gets hot on me.
I'm good as long as I can. If I'm in the draft and I can burp the crap out of it going through the corners where you need to stay up with somebody, then I'm good. If I have to stay hard on it, yeah, I could be even by myself in the draft throwing a whole run through a whole race. If it would go green, it's gonna blow up in the end. Yeah, it's not gonna make it. But as long as you can get in the draft where you can burp the crap out of it, for some reason that tends to seem to, I don't know, it does something, but it works.
Well, it's not the constrained RPMs, it gives it that little bit of lax.
Well, we've got one more series to talk about here this week on the Spotter Stand. It is the Stadium Super Truck Series sponsored by WLS Graphics. We are, I believe, 3 races into this now. Is that correct? 2 races, 3 races?
3 races.
Hold on, because I don't.
Three.
I think we were.
I think it's 3.
4.
Really?
That was the 4th race. Yes.
4 already. Wow. Well, we've been having a lot of fun in these super trucks. You guys know that you combine some dirt and some jumps and basically road course style racing with jumps in it, and it gets crazy. Cars getting a little sideways on these jumps, running into each other, landing on top of one another. It's been a lot of fun. It's been some crazy, fun kind of racing. And this week we ran at the GNC Arena Short, I believe it was, and the winner this week, BSR Momo. You guys will have to excuse this render. Scar doesn't have anything for this SST series, and I'm just having to go in and take a screenshot from the game. This week, at least, I did add the WLS Graphics SST series logo to it, and just some simple text BSR Momo down there. I didn't spend a whole lot of time trying to fancy this up, but I've got a surrender anyway. BSR Momo's number 54 beer bacon truck, and great job Momo pulling off a win. It's not easy to get a victory in this series because the racing is so rough, and everybody is just all over one another. Restarts are crazy in this series. You will see trucks 3-4 wide going down into the corners, and everybody taking the corner a little bit differently than the other drivers. And like I said, it's rough racing. I mean, you're bumping and grinding with each other, and maybe I didn't say that right, but it's tough. And Momo did a great job pulling off the victory this week at the GNC Arena.
Nothing wrong with bumping grass. That track, man, that track is super wide. It's got some really sharp turns in it. I do want to personally apologize to Steve Looney for just wiping him out on the last lap. I told him I just knew you weren't going to be there when I got there because I packed it down in there, and he that little, you get down in the corner and that one little second where you're about to launch up out of it, I was expecting him to launch, and he was still there when I got there, and I got into him and wrecked him, and I ended up, karma took care of me before I got back around to the checkered flag. So I did I don't think I beat him, did I, Larry?
I don't know. Export is not confirmed. Remember?
Yeah, when we get over to the results and the standings here, they're going to be a little bit off because we had a little glitch at the end of that race in the very last lap. But I'm sure, Steve Looney, being the great guy that he is, I'm sure he appreciates that apology. But Steve knows as well as any of us.
I think Steve was mad at me.
Maybe for about a half a second. But he knows as well as any of us how the racing goes in this particular series, and we're all out there just to have a lot of fun, and really all the running into each other and landing on top of one another is part of the fun. I mean, I think we spend as much time or more time laughing about this racing than anything else, which is great. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sure Steve Looney forgives you.
Well, just like I told him, I mean, if you watch the real race that we're trying to simulate there, I mean, those guys, they race as hard as they can on the last lap. They get into each other. They tump each other over. I mean, you get a little bit of everything. So at least we are simulating that part correctly. so, so I mean, we're trying to simulate what they do. And if you watched any of those races and flip back over and watched them do it in the real world, there's a lot of similarities there. I mean, from the way the attitude of the trucks, the way they'll roll over on the shocks and the tires and kick the front wheel up out of the air. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there, and it is a lot of fun. The guys come in with a good attitude, and the great thing about that being late on Saturday night. I mean, we've raced hard, serious, big time points racing all week long. We get to Saturday night and we can kind of, let the pressure off, blow off some steam, get out there with our friends, race these trucks. Who doesn't like jumping? I tell you, I find myself, and I don't know if I'm the only one that does this or not, but I find myself at certain tracks or stuff that we're racing during the week, and I'm thinking, right there would be the perfect place for a ramp. So that shows how much fun it is.
Well, let's move over and take a look here at the race results from the Saturday night GNC Arena track.
I have the results that somewhere I do.
Yeah, I've got just what has been uploaded. Now it does show Monty Keller as the top spot here. This was the glitch that we had at the end of this race. For some reason, in this series, when you get knocked on your roof, if there's nobody behind you to knock you back over, you have to call a tow truck. You get towed into the pits. And normally at most tracks, when you get towed into the pits and the field passes you, you go a lap down. But in this particular series, so far at the tracks we visited, when you get towed into the pits, you come back out on the lead lap, even if the field has already passed you. So this was a fairly long track, and Monty Keller, I believe it was next to last lap, ended up getting knocked over onto his roof and towed into the pits. And he came out of the pits ahead of the field, was able to drive all the way around and catch up to the field while we were doing our pace under caution. And even though he was at the back of the field, it was scoring him as the leader because the pack did not pass him before he got towed out, or before he exited the pits from being towed. So, like I said, for some reason in this series, you don't lose a lap when you get towed through the pits. So he came out, went around, was being scored as the leader. These points and the export are all going to have to be edited to reflect the actual standings. But BSR Momo did take home the victory. Brain Fade in second place, Scar in third, Furco in fourth place, and BSR Bubba J rounding out the top five.
And to add the finishing order that Steve had sent me, that five that you just read off should be the top five. So that should be our top five finishing order.
Yeah, it looks like Nelly led the most laps there with 8. Scar right behind him with 7. Scar was running great at this track. Him and Nelly both were running great most of the night. Brain Fade didn't lead a lap, but he was running pretty good as well. Brain Fade been doing really good in this SST series. let's move over here and take a look at the point standings. These are going to be a little bit off as well because it did show Monty Keller as being the victor uh, this past Saturday night. So it does show Monty currently in the top spot by 1 point over Brain Fade. I believe once these get edited, Monty will drop back a couple of positions.
He will drop back behind Nelly and still be ahead of Steve. But he should be behind Nelly in the points.
Yeah, so he's not going to drop too far, but Brain Fade will be your leader. Nelly will be second place down by 2 points to Brain. Steve Looney, well, no, Monty will probably be third. I'm not sure how many points back he will be, but not very many. Seven points. Steve Looney will be in fourth place. But he'll be down instead of by 9, only by 8 because he's back to Brain Fade, not to Monty Keller. And Pockets will round out the top 5, down by 11 points. The points pretty close up here in the front of this pack, and what we got? 6 races left to go in this. Is there 10 in this series?
Yes, it's only scheduled for 9, but there's supposed to be 10. Supposed to be getting a track to add to the schedule, which I haven't got yet, but I'm sure I'll be getting it anytime.
And I believe this next Saturday night we are repeating this GNC Arena Short. Is that correct?
That is what I have scheduled, correct.
So you guys heard it right here. We're going to be repeating this same track next Saturday night. So this will be, fresh in everybody's memory since we just raced it this past Saturday. We'll be racing it again this next Saturday. So, it ought to be a lot of fun, just like it was this last week. This week's race in this Super Truck Series is going to be a blast and a lot of fun.
So Steve Looney will have a chance to pay me back this week, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, he will.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that'll make me feel a lot better.
Some reason I don't think Steve Looney being the payback kind of guy.
I don't think you. You're right. You're absolutely right.
That's only
But
my
if he
job.
decided to, but
Totally by accident, of course. I
you
didn't
know,
mean,
and
I
that's-
didn't mean to do that, Pockets. I'm
The
so
gas
sorry.
pedal stuck and I lost the brakes and steering.
well, I will tell you this: that series, Larry and I talked about this earlier today. That series is just like the late model dirt series when we very first started. I mean, we're what are we? 4 races in?
Yes.
We've done this 4 times. We've done it 4 times. Now, it's like anything, it's going to get better. People are going to learn these tracks. I mean, Momo walks in there. Has he run one of these before? One, maybe?
Yes, he ran one of the
They're tough trucks to run too. They're not, they're a little different.
And they do, they do slide in the corners just like you are on dirt. If you get in the gas a little bit too much, you're gonna get a little bit of slide or spin around. And so, like I said, just like the dirt series when we first started running it, everybody is going to have an adjustment period. They're going to get used to how these trucks go around the corners, how they tend to act when you're going over a jump. Getting yourself lined up nice and straight when you do hit that jump, and it's only going to get better.
And the other
landing, when you come down, is how much gas or RPMs you have makes a big difference.
And the other thing is, which nobody realizes, when we started the dirt, we ran the same track over and over for 10 races straight. This is 4 totally different racetracks. So, yeah, it's going to take a little bit till everybody gets used to running these around a different track. But once everybody gets a handle on it, I think the racing will be great, like super great. It's just till we get to that point. So, hopefully nobody gets frustrated and upset and keeps hanging out and having fun. And just keep in mind, it's more fun than it is serious right now till we get the hang of it. But it'll get there, guys.
Well, that's about all we've got for you this week on the spotter stand. Just a reminder, tomorrow night the trucks will be off. We'll be racing in the dirt at Fonda. So everybody come out tomorrow night and let's have some fun racing in the dirt at Fonda. Wednesday night, we will be at Richmond. I'm sorry, Wednesday night is tomorrow. Thursday night, we will be at Richmond in the Cup Series, and Friday night, we will also be at Richmond in the Xfinity Series. Saturday, we'll be finishing up the Team Series at Talladega, and we will be revisiting the GNC Arena Short in the Super Truck Series. So you guys come out, join us in the dirt tomorrow night, and get ready for some Richmond coming up in the Cup and Xfinity Series this week. And as always, I'd like to thank all you guys. I see you out there, Steve Looney. Appreciate you tuning in, and all you other guys, Randy, Barry, I see Tricia out there, Eli out there, all you guys that are chiming in the chat box, everybody that showed up to watch live. We appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate you showing up here to be with us on the spotter stand this week, Eli. And as always, I'd like to thank BSR Hot Rod and BSR Pockets for coming in, contributing to the show, giving us all their great input. And with that, we're going to call it a week. We will see you next Tuesday night right here on the spotter stand with all the great racing action and updates from this coming up week. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.
Holla!
Later.